pattern for them earlier on in this broadcast. They really were able to pull it together for the final stretch fight, but they look like I mean, we've been talking about a bird, but they've been looking like a chicken with lacking maybe a certain part of their body in the final stretch. Very discombobulated, losing a number of players even before the final stretch began.
Discombobulated is how I was certainly feeling after that draft. Discombobulated certainly how Gen 5 will be feeling after this game. We got to write up a point plan here. Number one, don't allow Psyduck through again. Or if you, I mean, listen, I'm presuming that they're going to go on to the purple side. They should have first pick. So, hey, maybe they'll get a go on the Psyduck as well. But I feel like you're giving Bruv, who is just generally globally recognized as one of the best defenders in the game, free run on one of the most influential Pokemon in the meta right now. Just felt like a bit of a self-slam dunk for Gen 5, but we've also got to mention the likes of Toon and Gatlu. These two are shot callers. They are storied veterans now in the scene, and both of them making excellent calls at various different points. It never felt like Nouns Esports, A, stepped off the gas, and B, more importantly, felt like they were ever out of control at any point. It's methodical is the word that comes to mind.
Two roles specifically I want to shout out here. Of course, the big shoes to fill as Soreu departed this team, and I would say like a month ago now. I feel like that was such a long time ago, but Toon really filling in to that central area carry, doing 70,000 damage on Talonflame, a Pokemon that has really not seen a whole lot of competitive light. And Blaine, we've been talking about it already, filling in that supporter role, but Adesu as well, returning back to that attacker position, really made Sylveon look like a Pokemon to be played. He's the only player that has played Sylveon quite consistently, both in the AOS Cup play-in finals and in today's grand final and throughout today's event. This team has really come together in the last 2 weeks. It's only been 2 weeks, but it's night and day from what we've seen them in the AOS Cup play-in finals.
Yeah, no Miraidon for the first time. Didn't really matter, I don't think, for either squad. The Cinderace. What would we have chosen instead of that? I mean, look, for me personally, I'm shocked that they didn't go Glaceon. I feel like as much as we saw that lovely blazing bicycle kick that secured that bottom path Reggie, I also feel like Lunda was not really able to influence that end game. Like they would have completely isolated, of course, and removed from even looking to launch the Unite move to steal away the Ray.
Yeah, Cinderace, of course, has some moments. Cinderace had its time to shine. Thinking about Jungle Book in year one, that is like a classic example of Cinderace really taking over the game. But this is a very different time, Relic. I feel like in year one for Cinderace, there wasn't a whole lot of crowd control to deal with. Of course, draft was not a thing in competitive Pokemon Unite, and I think the biggest crowd control you had to deal with in year one was maybe like Snorlax, for example. But this is a very different time. There's a very high burst damage throughout the cast. You think about this Talonflame, Brave Bird doing so much damage. I mean, Brave Bird followed by an Aerial Ace can spell utter doom for a Pokemon as squishy, low health pool as Cinderace, in my opinion.
So if you're Gen 5, again, we're presuming it's first pick here. I mean, it'd be crazy if it's not, to be fair. What are your two bans? Do you start to target ban? Do you start to look towards the meta for inspiration? Where are we thinking?
I think they need to return to some of their wonderful picks. Things like Urshifu did so well for Utah. I mean, Leafeon was nerfed. Of course, it wasn't a very significant nerf in my opinion, but I think Urshifu and Utah to kind of just go hand in hand. We were talking about it earlier on in the broadcast. Megu did splendid with Zacian earlier on today. I think going back to those two picks specifically to maybe match the tempo of Nouns Esports is something they need to do.
And Nouns Esports, look, as much as we can say, how can Gen 5 recover? How can Gen 5 do this? How can Gen 5 do... What do Nouns Esports do? Because I think there's definitely two rooms of thinking. The one room is, let's not deviate too much from what we did, because we did it very well. We looked really strong against one of the best teams in our region besides ourselves. The other room of thinking is, we saw it earlier today, where you actually, and from Nouns Esports no less, you change things up. You give your opponents something different to try and counter it. It means that you're on the front foot. You're taking control of your own destiny, but you're also opening the door, of course, to maybe allowing a couple of chinks in the armor to open up.
As you predicted, rather so graciously. Gen 5 is going to be in that first pick selection. Umbreon's going to be the first ban of choice for Gen 5. To go back onto your question about what Nouns Esports should do here, they got a couple of games to give, right? Obviously, they might want to grab that holiday money rather early on to make this a full sweep, not lose a single map today, but got a couple of maps to give. I think one of the interesting things that Nouns Esports can do here is go something very unconventional. I mean, we saw
what?
Since I say that Clefable is going to be the second ban of choice here. This is going to allow the likes of Blissey to go through. Hoopa, obviously a really strong choice. Could we be seeing maybe a Greedent come out here? Come on, Gatlu, give us a Greedent once again.
No, I think if I'm reading this correctly, surely Blissey Miraidon first picks. There's the Miraidon. And here comes the Blissey. I think Nouns have actually played a blinder here. They've kind of thrown away their last pick, but because they're second and they get to choose two, it means that if we didn't see Megu picking up Zacian, then maybe Nouns would have picked up Zacian. What we do know is that Gen 5 are going to be ensuring that the Hooper is in their corner, and Qatar's going to be going on to that Slowbro again.
All right, Gatlu, let's see what you got for us here. I know you're hovering over a couple of different, really exciting picks here. Greedent might come out to play. Right now, Gen 5 has a lot of really high tempo, really good snowballing across their team, but they're going to go ahead and bulk up. President Adesu should feel very safe. Two defenders and this Blissey supporting those defenders. Two now, most likely is going to go, they could go back to the Talonflame once again. I expect something to be of high burst damage potential for Toon. Utah, this is the first time we're seeing the Absol today. I think Absol was pivotal in their performance in the AOS Cup play-in finals. Glad to see it come out here, but let's see what Toon got in the bag here. I think Nouns Esports, again, got a couple of games to give. They're going to pull out the Cerulege, thing going down the proverbial totem pole for all-rounders. Cerulege lacking on some play. It's still really strong all-rounder, really devastating Unite move, but a lot of all-rounders right now really strong in the metagame.
You know, the real move, if Toon properly wanted to mess with Gen 5, would be pick Cinderace. Show Gen 5 how it's done. Gen 5, interestingly, of course, Utah going on to this Absol, though. So we got two high burst potential Pokemon. Of course, you've mentioned the Cerulege as well with that Revenant Rend. Certainly a lot of targets that you look at with that Revenant Rend, as long as Toon stays on top of the level situation, and you're worried about their survival, given there's not a lot of sustain from Sazuro as the support Hooper, and that, Qatar is not going to last long if it's literally 1v4 or 1v5. The thing is that Gatlu pick somewhat countered by Icicle Spear on Lunda. I can see the thinking behind that. Again, I think it's a game too late for Glaceon to really get a one-up on Nouns Esports, so to speak. But at the very least with Icicle Spear, it'll mean that any health that is being regened by that Greedent will at least be somewhat nullified. Not that you're going to be able to deal with the Greedent anyway, because it would have gone into the next postcode by the time you chase it down. But that's kind of it. It's not about taking down the Greedent, it's about making sure that the Greedent doesn't get in your head and that you focus on the real priority targets.
Very bulky bottom path, but Gen 5, the back's against the wall in our grand final set. Nouns Esports, our orange team. Gen 5, our purple team. Again, Nouns Esports, one game away. That Lion Ship prize at the end of today's event.
$3,500 total. The breakdown is $1,500 for the winner and $1,000 for second. So $500 difference. That ain't exactly chump change here. An early Evo, though, for Lunda, and Gatlu already starting to steal the fruit. Has that shield, has those berries, pops the X speed. Easy as pie.
I wouldn't say their efforts are fruitless, even if they aren't able to take any EXP and maybe get some stacks for themselves. Just a nuisance. That is exactly what Greedent is aimed to do. Almost level 5 is the Greedent, not going to be level 5 going into those 850 birds. Pretty traditional rotation here for the teams, but we might be seeing the Hoopa maybe rotate down to the bottom. No, checking to make sure there's no rotation to the top path. 2 members in the top, 3 members in the bottom.
Hadron Engine down. Megu has to pop the X speed there, explain. As Toon slowly rotates north, we see a little bit of a faster rotate from Absol. Oh, stepped out of line too much. The Shedinja doll is going to be popped more out of, I think, pure fear than anything else. A little bit of a better look here in this early game for Gen 5. Plenty of Bumblebees stolen on this top path.
To be expected in this top path, I think Zacian, compared to that Miraidon in that top lane carry role, I think Zacian just has a stronger presence. But Gatlu making their presence known here in this bottom path. Once again, going to be grabbing these citrus berries, burst out with speed, with that X speed back over to the right side of the field. And I think they've been doing a really good job at limiting Gatlu for their stacks, but once they get into this end game, Gatlu is going to be very difficult to take down.
Megu has one target and one target only, but Utah, it's going to be a trade with Toon, the two central area roamers, both meeting their end for the moment, at least back to the Pokemon Center, returning to the field in quick order too.
In this bottom path, Lunder is going to be honing their Icicle Spears and these two defenders. Typically talk about Glaceon being that tank buster type Pokemon, and especially when you have two defenders on the field, I think that Icicle Spear is a beautiful pick like you were talking about before. Can also just lock into the Greedent. Greedent is sometimes very difficult to aim at, especially if you have some skill shot abilities. Don't have to worry about that with this Icicle Spears. Birds on the field, ripped off the field very, very quickly. 18 points to 0. Very conservative start to the game, Relic.
Not so conservative for Utah, though, on that level 9, already well ahead of the curve, and I'm sorry, but that is poor. The timing perfect from Megu, who has really just reined in this top path to their own one. So we've got the Glacial Stage down as Nouns Esports aim to go after the Regirock 4 on this bottom path. Gatlu, by the way, objectively wearing the best Hollow Air in the game. That's just a fact. Revenant Rend, here's another fact for you. Takes away the Regirock before Gen 5 even got a sniff. Oh, it's a Psycho Cut down, but forced back into their own base here is Utah. Maybe looking for another entry point. Lunder on the chase now with these Icicle Spears as well. Nouns Esports disengage.
Really clean fight for Nouns Esports, able to take the first objective off of the field. This is a very much better look for Gen 5 going into the halfway point of the game relative to game number 1. Again, Utah on this Absol has been pivotal to this current field state for their team. But looking into the later stages of the game, again, looking for Megu to really have an outstanding performance in these larger team fight engagements. And here comes Gatlu with that Belch, really good, strong securing tool. Can they get this one here? They do! The Belch able to pull that one away.
You just felt like it was inevitable. Icicle Spears eaten up by this big fat squirrel who goes on the hunt once again with the Belches. Lots of shielding done, and that is a walk-in for the Regieleki. Toon falls, but the big berry belly flop will push Gen 5 back. 3 scores, 12 points. 5 points, and are they going to get another 10 or another 5 in rather for the overtime? No, here comes a 35 from Gatlu. Oh, Nouns Esports going from strength to strength.
Oh, an exclamation point with a 35-point overcap in that top path. Last Citrus Berry to maybe push on to this tier 1 goal zone. As we head into the halfway point of the game, let's go ahead and take a look at our field state so far. Relic, 61 points for Gen 5, 1-3-3 for Nouns Esports. Another really nice score in this bottom path. I think more importantly, Nouns Esports has continued to maintain the lead, maintain the gas, and now this Greedent is at level 10, matching some of the members on Gen 5. It's starting to scale into the late game. This is a position where you do not want to be, and Greedent is terrifying into the late game. If it gets some levels, even parity is something difficult to deal with.
Up next on the docket, it's another Regirock. Psycho Cut onto it, but Gen 5, understandably, very scared to engage. Slow beam down onto Toon, and there goes the Midnight Slash to finish the job! But I think the Meteor Storm has stolen it away from Gen 5! Oh, no, it hasn't! How did Lunder get this? It's another How did Lunder moment! 2 KO streak for Utah! I don't think they're going to turn around this team fight necessarily, Gen 5, even with the defensive and special defensive buffs. But Megu has at least dispelled the threat. 2 KO streak for Gatlu, by the way. 89 to 133, but that was a crucial secure for Gen 5.
Yeah, I think if they were to lose that one there, this might spell disaster for Gen 5. A really good team fight, or at least a 2v1 going in the way of Megu, now level 13, able to KO the level 12 Saraledge. We have 1 minute 45 seconds before the final stretch. Last gutter time pick here. Adesu once again is going to be finding the end of the Pokemon Center on the other side of that Shedinja doll. Player has really been very quiet in game number 2. But here we go. Another objective on the field. Very quick rip between these two auto-attacking Pokemon. But Greedent is almost there, able to secure that. No, Utah with their Absol, able to pull another objective away.
Really nice pressure from Nouns Esports on this bottom path, though, ensures that Gen 5 can't go for the big push on that top path, and it means that Nouns Esports will not see that Regieleki hit the tier 1. Gatlu is more than happy to sit up there. They're level 12. They've already met their level requirement for endgame. Instead, Nouns Esports focus on this bottom path defense. In fact, never mind. Gatlu just let the Regieleki hit. 343, and Gen 5 take the points lead.
Take a look at leveling on Megu Zacian.
Level
14 on that Zacian is going to be such a dominant force in the end game. That is my Pokemon to watch once that final stretch begins. This bottom path has been a tale of two cities. There's going to be one more southern Reggie Roulette spawn, and Relic, this might be the final stretch beginning just early. Let's go ahead and roll the dice here, and we do get a Reggie Ice spawning on the field, and very quickly, just like that Regieleki taking off very quickly, Lunder, another secure in this bottom objective.
Oh, you can hear the sizzle. Gen 5's in the kitchen, but let's see whether they can serve up the dish. Best served hot on this particular cold winter's day. 152 to 133. It's not going to be as worrisome for Nouns Esports. That's going to be a free reset for Bruv. But Gen 5 have the level advantage. Nouns Esports have to micro the heck out of these last 2 minutes. Oh, never mind. They're going for the rip.
Oh, very fast flip. We don't see whether they're...
Oh,
my God!
unbelievable!
And just like that, in a blink of an eye, Nouns Esports on the verge of a grand final sweep here in the UCS European Finals.
Truly unbelievable. It's another objective secure with the Revenant Ren for Toon Slim. This time on the most important that you could possibly hope for. Gen 5. They had every win condition available to them, known to anybody in the pro scene. But Nouns Esports had the one wild card that you could possibly hope for. Just send it, and send it they did. The letter has been posted, and Nouns Esports on the precipice of breaking Gatlu's Event 2 curse.
1 minute left. We may be deciding our December regional champion here in the UNITE Championship Series. Gen 5 desperate to get some scores on the board. Hadron Engine's gonna boost that tier 2 goal zone. 17 points in double time will make that 34. This still is a game. Blissey's gonna go for a back score, but Lunder is the first to fall for Gen 5. A KO streak for 2 for Utah. They're gonna continue scoring, and I think the only one left standing here in this path is Gatlu, the captain of Nouns Esports, able to hold on. Another 10 points. I think this is the time to call it. Nouns Esports the winner of the December finals.
They've got themselves a Rings Unbound, but they don't have shields, and they most certainly don't have AOS energy, folks. 378 to 591. It is going to take a miracle to turn this one around. Bright Future, Meteor Storm, everything being thrown at this goal zone, but it don't matter. It is a full sweep day here at the UNITE Championship Series in Europe, and Nouns Esports have claimed the crown for a second consecutive event.
A valiant effort definitely by Gen 5. As we go back to the scores table, our grand finals, 2-0 Nouns Esports, your final score. 591 Nouns Esports to Gen 5's 378. A razor edge separating the two going into the final stretch, but a blitz play by Nouns Esports ripping the Rayquaza, the Dream, the prize pool away from Gen 5. All of the momentum for Gen 5 literally felled by the Rayquaza secure by Nouns Esports.
And this is the big game intelligence. I think Nouns Esports saw the writing on the wall. Gen 5, by the 2-minute marker, looked so threatening. You pointed it out, Draku. Level 14 Zacian. What was it? Level 13, 14 Absol as well. There was the potential to run ruin through the Nouns ranks. So they thought, okay, you know what? If we're going to lose, we might as well lose in style. But they give themselves that chance because Gen 5 wasn't prepared for what Nouns Esports were cooking. And of course, if you are going to send it, you might as well throw every Unite move you have. And that Revenant Ren, for the second time this game, made the claim.
I think that was one of the only times we saw Sarah Ledge on today's broadcast, but nonetheless, always so impactful. That Revenant Ren Unite move can stun the enemy team, can do massive amounts of damage onto objective secures. I want to give a big shout out to Lunder, by the way. Attacker for Gen 5 has been so pivotal in their team's successes on securing objectives, not only with other characters today, but definitely Glaceon is definitely not a Pokemon you think to secure objectives. They've done it time and time again today.
Oh, my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. And again, personally, for Gatlu, that is, I guess, an APOM off the back for him. In year 1, lost in the finals as part of random gaming against PogChamp. In year 2, didn't even make it to the grand finals as part of Nouns Esports, dispatched within the losers bracket by Woof Woof, if you can remember them back in the day. Last year, as part of For Free, they, quite in tragic circumstances, lost in a full bracket reset in those grand finals. Finally, ghosts of the past dispelled. Gatlu, you have won a second event in the online season. Well done. And of course, importantly, $1,500 going to the team as well. It's almost like it was the master plan, Draku. Soreu moves and it stonks for X-Plane.
Yeah, absolutely. I was talking about earlier, players have made such a huge adjustment going from week 2 or from event 1 to event 2. Every player has really pulled their weight on this team, and each player has definitely been a superstar throughout these last 2 weeks of UCS events. Again, huge shout out to Blaine for coming off of the bench, Toon for re-navigating to another carry on the team, for Adesu rotating from support to attacker. It's a team of all-stars. They've been playing together for more than a year now. They know exactly how each other plays. Regardless of the role, the chemistry is what pulls this team through adversity.
That's one of the headlines of the day. Greedent wins grand final. I'm delighted to say that we have got the master, the driver of the Greedent themselves, in the room. Gatlu, you've won a second event of the season. Those are the biggest classes I've ever seen in existence. You gotta be feeling good after that.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Like the scrims went pretty well. We are taking it still slowly, and I really like how we just proceed with the game plans. Because in the previous cup, Toon was more playing top lane side, so we didn't have too much time for the role swaps. But now I'm more the top laner and he is the jungler. I basically only spammed Blaziken and Zacian and still picked up the other characters. So I think keeping it slow and steady is better than playing too much.
Now, Gatly, I want to some insight on the comms for that final game of the grand final set. What was the call to flip the Rayquaza on Gen 5?
We were 1-0, and the game didn't really feel that great, like the previous one. So we just said, let's donkey flip it.
Flip it and rip it.
I mean, we said push the Slowbro away and then flip it. So, you gotta push the main stun CC/ultimate from Slowbro away, and then decide to flip. Because if you just full flip it, the Slowbro is just gonna get a massive surf, and then use the ultimate.
Before we leave you to your celebrations, Gatlu, I do feel like I got to speak up for one of your teammates. I feel like, especially after such a great showing, Blaine deserves better than the dumpster. Are you looking to investigate better accommodation for him before EUIC, of course, next year?
So we told Blaine that we're gonna keep playing with him, and he's not gonna be in the dumpster anymore. He's gonna get a hotel.
Yes,
a very nice hotel
out of the trenches.
UIC. It's gonna be good. But yeah, we were feeling really confident during this tournament. It was a little bit unfortunate for Panyan, getting the cute and then loser bracket and then again getting the cute. I was kind of looking forward to play against them as well, but it's cool to see like new top 4s. Like the competition doesn't sleep, right? Drill Packers in BH3 getting the top 4 spot this time around from the winner side was pretty exciting.
You're a legend of the scene, Gatlu. Humble as always. It's a pleasure. Enjoy and congratulations.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day, guys. See you, everyone.
You too. See you soon. Right. Well, I believe we should be joined by Sofchan and Kelosaurus, hopefully, in the next couple of minutes or so, Draku. But a moment for us to reflect. Oh, well, maybe now.
Hello.
Maybe now. Hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Join us in. So I think Soph's still completely shocked by the Revenant Rend from earlier. But Kello, let's pop in with you, shall we? And your thoughts on what has been one of the quickest brackets in Pokemon Unite history. Sweeps all day, but I feel like every single game was exciting in a unique way. It didn't feel like it was just Stomp Central from back to back.
No, exactly. I think we had a lot of close matches today, despite, yes, the bracket demonstrating the two O's across the map. But I think it was really exciting that we got to see some different teams make it on into the top 8 and show them over onto the broadcast as well. In terms of the meta, we've had quite a big variety in terms of our picks. I guess a lot of that comes down to Toon picking up a different Pokemon for each match.
Yeah. Possibly. It's variety is the spice of life, of course, but for a lot of these teams, it's going to be a feeling that's a little old already. Nouns win AOS Cup play-ins, Nouns win the December Cup, and worth mentioning that, again, just because you got star factor in your squad doesn't necessarily mean that it's the right synergy. Blaine proving this, of course, honestly a rising star once again in his own right, but serious questions now. Less so for Apanya and a bit of an exception to the rule, I think, on this particular occasion. But Gen 5, that's 2 grand finals now, which they've been unable to see over the line.
Yeah, it's definitely going to feel rough, especially in the beginning of the season. We're still going to flip the actual calendar into 2025, but the 2 first events already gone by. It doesn't feel very good for them, but at the same time, it's also great that they have guaranteed at least a runner-up CP for every single event so far. And of course, in this one in particular, you have the actual prize pool as well. So at the end of the day, you still have that target and that just moment you're eager to get to. And of course, with AOS Cup in February, it's definitely going to be a Gen 5 moment, playing in home soil, especially in a LAN event. But there's still January before that, and February finals, all that jazz that comes through in the next new year.
I was going to say, Draku, final thoughts from you on just this break that we have ahead of us, because it's a month long. It's one of the longest breaks between events of the season. Is it too early to press the Rostermania button? Or do we expect to see some changes this early in the season?
I think they definitely have some time to do so. I believe they have at least one opportunity to change out some players if they want to do so. But I think one thing I do want to highlight as my closing thoughts, one of the conversations we had during the pre-show is that, again, there are 3 slots for Worlds outside of, the EUIC spot that's awarded to the winner of that, or the World spot awarded to the winner of the EUIC. You're talking about teams that may be trying to get to that upper 4, upper 3 echelon. Talking about Nouns Esports, the obvious winner of today and last event, Gen 5, making it runner-up for this today's event and the last one as well. Apanyan having a pretty disappointing performance across the board, but Drill Packers, BH3, finding themselves a top 4 win is huge for those teams. Definitely a benchmark moment, and I think they should definitely hold on to those rosters going into January, because once that first event for January comes along, it is back to back to back. January to February Cup into EUIC. It's all within a 6-week span. So if they want to make some changes, now's the time to do so.
Right, final bits of housekeeping then, for at least the EU side of things. We return January 12th with the qualifiers for the January Cup, January 11th. So stick that in your calendars, and we'll be back around then. In terms of course, in-game, Tinkerton, it's available. Go play it. It is a lot of fun, and we are expecting a lot of exciting things next year in Pokemon Unite as well. So keep an eye on socials for all of those things. The stream, as far as I'm aware, isn't necessarily over. We might have a mini break. I say a mini break, it might be a larger break, but essentially in just about 2 hours or so, you got North America. Might actually be closer to 3 hours even. We got through this very quickly. But North America will be later, of course, with the Mustachio Bros of Spraggles and Doop Snacks, joined, of course, by Zoinks and Wonder Chef. So I think we're all going to be relaxing and enjoying the show on that side of things. And, of course, to all of you, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate your support. We know this is an early start, but we got to see a lot of awesome games. And there is still a lot of the season left on the docket. It's a final thank you and goodbye then to Soph-chan, to Draku, to Kellosaurus, and to you all out there. A big thank you to our production staff behind the scenes, Eternal J, Sunderland, and Bacon. I've just been Relic, and from all of us here, happy holidays, happy New Year, and we'll see you for North America.